All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. It's Harmless Dave here, otherwise known as the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people just like you right there, and just like me right here. Here's a quote from 1997. If Lindsay wasn't ever going to be in the band again, then why should I be in the band anymore? We went in together. I just didn't want to be part of it if it didn't include all of us. That, of course, is Stevie Nicks back in 1997 from the now and long defunct Microsoft Music Channel. August of 1997. Had my new Windows 97 program probably installed. Either that or I was still using Windows 95. It's a long time ago. So what happened to Stevie Nicks' now famous quote? How did it unravel so quickly? Well, I've got some bullet points here. So buckle up. It's going to be a rough ride. No. Just some thoughts, some random thoughts on this topic. Nothing too deep. And really nothing that I haven't said in one form or another in other videos. But I figured I'd put together maybe my top 5 reasons as to why Lindsay is not in this band anymore. And this is all related to Stevie Nicks because ultimately she had the final say, although now we're hearing that Mick Fleetwood was important as far as how this went down because he had financial needs. Christine McVie seemed to just go along to get along and has said recently that this is the best version of Fleetwood Mac ever. Not in those words, but she said we're a better band now than before. Eek. Anyway, here are my issues relating to Stevie Nicks and what I think happened to make that now famous quote just a thing of the past. The top of my list here, and it's just the first point, is the fact that Tom Petty passed away. Tom and Stevie were close. It hit Stevie very hard. I think I was on Twitter at the time and said something like, imagine how Stevie Nicks feels today. Because you just know, as a rock fan, how close those two individuals were. I think Stevie was probably closer to Tom than Tom was close to Stevie, if you know what I mean. Really, Petty launched her career, her solo career, and if he were obviously still alive, I think she would have to acknowledge him and honor him, especially since she was just inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Petty's style really appealed to her, and I think one of the reasons why Mike Campbell is in this band now is because Stevie wanted to somehow have a bridge back to Tom, and Mike is that bridge. That early musical experience that Stevie Nicks had with Tom Petty was really important in shaping the way she recorded music and the production values, and really Stop Dragging My Heart Around was a gift from Tom to Stevie. And ultimately, I don't think she would be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame if not for Tom Petty and also the aforementioned Lindsey Buckingham. But that's a whole other video, which I think I already did. So Petty, I think, really affected Stevie and is really important in this story. The idea of embracing mediocrity, or just saying, look, we're old, enough of this meticulous scrutiny, enough of this worrying about what I'm going to say. or how I'm going to say it. If I ramble during a speech, so what? Lindsey Buckingham was into managing this group in addition to all the other things he did. He was the grown up in the room, and you can tell now, especially with the behavior of Mick Fleetwood and just how this band is being run these days, that Lindsey Buckingham brought order to the chaos. Maybe that's why Lindsey had an album called Law and Order. I'm not sure. Maybe he was trying to send them a message that we need some type of police chief here to rein in the craziness and rein in sort of the lethargic and less than enthusiastic work ethic. And just of all those people, Lindsey had, I think, like I say, he was the grown-up in the room, and he certainly kept the others in line. The Buckingham Be album, I think, was a betrayal. And it was a betrayal because Lindsey didn't want to wait for Stevie. So Lindsey said, okay, let's go and make an album. We'd love to have Stevie here. And Stevie, her part is she didn't give these guys the green light to call it a Fleetwood Mac album. She wasn't there, and they honored her wishes and just called it Buckingham Be. If she had gotten, a good listen to that album, she would realize that that is the strongest piece of Fleetwood Mac hardware and software, depending on how you're looking at it these days, since Tango in the Night. It just was. A lot of critics were, sort of tepid on it. You heard some really great reviews. But for a Fleetwood Mac fan, I mean, in today's day and age, this is Lindsey Buckingham at his best. These are two strong songwriters. This is Lindsey getting to be Lindsey because Christine McVie was like the clay, and he was like the potter. And they both worked well together, and Christine needed his input, and he apparently got much inspiration from her. That couldn't have made Stevie too happy. And just putting that in her, I guess, arsenal of things that she was upset about. Next is greed. It's an obvious one. Financial gain, greed. And that spreads, obviously, to all the members who basically unfriended Lindsey Buckingham, to use a modern-day social media term. Lindsey was immediately unfriended. Kristen Buckingham said to me, ghosted. That's the word she used. They all ghosted Lindsey. They were treating him like a ghost. And it's unfortunate. And again, on very good authority, I heard Mick Fleetwood needed to tour. He needed to tour. It's amazing. These guys can't squirrel some money away, but apparently they have issues doing that. Finally, an unrealistic view of her own importance. Grandiosity is the word that I looked up that is affiliated with that. Basically just thinking that you're more important than you are. Sort of stepping on or over people on your way to those goals that you have. Thinking that you're the one that's not replaceable. Everybody else is expendable except for me. And I think that is apparent, especially when you look at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, which became this celebration of something that, as just a casual observer, you would say to yourself, well, Stevie thinks she's the only woman that will ever be inducted twice into the Hall of Fame, once as part of a band and once as, herself. And a friend of mine pointed out that Cher and Tina Turner are excellent candidates and should also be considered for that honor. Stevie Nicks was making it sound like it would take another 50 years before you would see something like this happen again. Don't know. With Tina Turner and Cher, though, you would think it won't take 50 years. And that's that grandiosity. I'm important. I'm one of a kind. There's no one else like me. Nobody really understands me. Nobody relates to me. And I think you might actually put that closer to the top of the list because there's a bit of dysfunction. Because if somebody can cast aside a person who was instrumental in getting her where she got, with all the stuff about Tom Petty aside, you don't get to Tom Petty unless you've got Lindsey Buckingham, who not only did the encouragement part early on, but also said, hey, we're a package deal. We're coming to Fleetwood Mac together. Hence the quote in 97. She knew at that time that she wouldn't be anywhere without Lindsey, and it's not the same without him. Why is it in 1997 she got that? I don't know. Time has a weird effect on people. And I don't think it's the smirking. I don't think it's he didn't want to tour. None of those reasons really hold up. I think these 5 points make it clear that there was definitely something going on that led to this break. But for Fleetwood Mac fans, all would be forgiven if she would just step up to a microphone somewhere and say, hey, I was wrong, and I'm sorry what I did to Lindsey Buckingham. That's it. You're wrong, and you hope that Lindsey recovers 100% from his injuries. Do a personal, real statement about it. I mean, I don't know if this is a divorce, because, they weren't ever married, but typically, even in human terms, oftentimes you don't wish somebody sort of like ill will when they haven't done anything wrong. Or you don't just skip over them because it's convenient to do. I mean, you make a statement. There are too many people who are invested in the idea of Fleetwood Mac with all of the rumors people in the lineup. Pretty simple. So anyway, long-winded video, but those are some of my points. And again, her quote, I just didn't want to be a part of it if it didn't include all of us. Times change. All right, done. See you soon.